Hey, everybody. Hey, do you ever feel overwhelmed, stuck? Like you know that there is something more to your life. You know there's something you want to do, but there's something holding you back as well. And you just can't quite seem to get over that hump and actually get into living into the potential of who you are. Maybe it feels like, oh, fear, imposter syndrome, whatever it is. And maybe you just have too much stuff on your plate, right? I'm here. We're here today because we know that you have awesomeness to bring to the world. And if you're ready to do it, we would love to give you some inspiration and some vibes and some tools to help you get over whatever is holding you back. Because what better time is there than now, right? So if that sounds intriguing to you, I'm so happy to welcome you into this video. I have here with me today, I'm Anna McKinley. If we haven't already met, I'm Anna McKinley, and I help mums who run their own businesses from home to be able to accomplish all of the wonderful goals that you have and also have a great life, good relationships, good health, and retain your sanity at the same time. And I have with me the one and only Stephanie Young. Hey, Stephanie. Hi, great to have you with us
Hi,
today. Hey.
thank you so much for having me.
It is such a pleasure, and I love that smile. I love the energy you bring to everything.
Thank
So we are
you.
going to be talking about some amazing stuff, how you can take the leap of faith and back yourself and step into who you want to be and the impact you want to have. Just so that you know, first up, stick around. We're going to be sharing lots and lots and lots of kinds of tips and strategies and inspiration and practical stuff that works that you can use. So do stick around. And if you know anyone else who you feel would really benefit from what we're sharing or just needs a bit of a pick me up, something to help them get unstuck, feel free to share the love around the Google, right? Around the internet. Because goodness knows, doesn't the world need more high vibe right now? Yeah. So
Yes,
let's
agreed.
totally. So let's share it. And if you get any aha moments, we'd love it if you can just drop any nuggets as they come up for you, because that will help you to actually remember them yourself and it will benefit others. Whether you're watching live or on the replay, please do that because it will actually help you to integrate and it helps everyone else as well, right? Who doesn't love a win-win? Alrighty, let's get stuck into it. So, Stephanie, it is so awesome to have you here.
It's so
Welcome.
exciting to be here with you.
Yeah. And just for everyone watching, I've been looking forward to this for weeks because Stephanie is, she's got so much juicy goodness. Now, Stephanie is an audacious success coach.
Mhm.
That
Yes,
audacious success, I love that. Um, and I'd love to hear from you, Stephanie. Like, I mean, if you could share a bit about what was your journey? How did you actually come to be an audacious success coach? Can you kick things off by sharing a bit of your journey?
I would love to. It's been a long journey to get here, and part of it was really avoiding the term coach. It took me months and months and months to get over that. I fought it for so long, and I had so many in my life and friends that were like, "Stephanie, you're a coach. Like, just embrace it." And I would say, "No, no, no, I'm not a coach. I'm not a coach. That's not what I do." And they were like, "Yes, that's exactly what you do." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And it took me recognizing that coaches often are on the sidelines helping the team achieve the success that they really want, for me to recognize that that's exactly what I do. I help people see their dream, recognize that it can actually happen, and figure out how to make it a successful thing. And I cheer them along the whole way to get there. And to me, it's audacious because so many people are scared of their dream, they're afraid of their dream, and so it takes a lot of surprisingly bold, like, gumption to embrace it and then go for it. And so I consider myself an audacious success coach because I'm gonna be on the sidelines the whole time. I want nothing but your success and everyone's success, and I am here to embrace the boldness of your dream and of your success to help you make that happen. And so I'm along for the whole journey. And my journey to get there was very long, and I had to have coaches on my sideline getting me there. I went from working in the corporate world, I worked in the medical research industry for a while. I worked in multi-level marketing and I enjoyed all of it. And none of it really pointed me to coaching in a direct way. And the whole time I was like, well, this is just what I'll do. I'll do all of these things. And as all of those things started to fall apart and I started to
Mhm.
fall apart, I was like, I have no clue what I'm going to do. And it hit me that my favorite thing to do was support people and help them see their dreams come true. And it simply made sense to do that in a coaching role and to actually be there for people and really make their dreams come true and to see that be a beautiful and wonderful thing. And so it became the natural next step for me. And when I looked back on my life, I saw how things that I had done in my past actually were stepping stones to get me where I was.
Gotta love hindsight, right? And
It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. If only we could have like foresight, hindsight. I'd love it for those, whether you're watching live or on the replay, if that resonates with you at all, that I've done all these things and they were great in the moment, but my life
Mhm,
fell apart and then I had to
mhm,
look back and reconstruct. I mean, how many people does that resonate with? How many people do you all know who've been through something like that, right? Especially now, there seems to be, as they say, a lot of that going around, right? So,
mhm.
Stephanie, I would love it if you could actually unpack that a little bit more for us. Like, you
Sure.
you you had this journey, you did all these things, and you said, well, there were things you enjoyed about all of it. But when your
Oh,
life
yes.
fell apart, what was it that actually helped you to have that courage to have a look at what had happened and reconstruct? Because I've been in a similar place, and my experience was it ain't easy, girl. It ain't easy. It
Mm-mm,
takes a lot of courage, and it takes, um, actually takes the self-love to create the space for
mhm.
yourself, and so many people don't really give themselves that permission these days. So, what was your experience there?
It definitely was it felt at first, it felt a little demoralizing, like,
Yeah.
how could this have happened to me? How could I have let this happen to myself? How could other people have been willing to let this happen to me? And, that was hard. That was really hard to, like, recognize uh, that it wasn't so much that it happened to me or that I allowed it to happen, that just circumstances that were way beyond my control. Like one of the jobs I was let go from, and it was like the one of the jobs that I like loved and adored and adored. And it was a complete shock when I was let go. And so I was like completely devastated. I sobbed for weeks. Um, and I did. I really felt like a complete wreck. And so there are probably a ton of people that have experienced job loss that wasn't what they intended. Like sometimes we leave a job on good terms and it's like, I'm ready for a next step. Like this is my time to leave this company or this position and I'm ready to go on to the next thing. I can't say that I was ready to leave. And so I was a complete devastated wreck. And I remember just thinking so much like, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? And it took a lot of time for me to recognize that it wasn't something that I did wrong. It wasn't something that I could have prevented or that I even could have fixed in the moment. It was a lot of circumstances that led up to it that were completely out of my control. And once I recognized that there are so many things that are outside of my control, if I can do my best to respond to what I can control, which were my reactions and my next steps, that would help so much more. And so, even though I wanted to wallow, that is a natural human reaction
Yeah.
to want to wallow. I realized that like wallowing wasn't really going to help me that much. And so I was like, okay, what can I like pick up and what can I like learn from this experience and what can I like keep going? And so now, years later, I am able to look back at that job and remember a lot of the really amazing things that happened at that job and a lot of really wonderful things I learned from it. Even though there are still some hurts from it, I'm able to, see the positives from it. But I really remember like that moment of clarity of saying like sometimes there's things that are just so much bigger than us.
Mhm.
And it's okay to recognize that. It's okay to say this is bigger than me. And I am okay to get up and say, well, what can I do next? What would I like to do next? What do I want to do next? Like, because maybe your want and your like are a little different, but like,
Yeah.
what would I aim to do next? Like, what would be audacious to do next? What would be really bold? and kind of surprising to do next. And I think that was where I was sitting. And I didn't really realize that it was audacity. I just kept sitting there thinking, like, what would be the next thing for me that would be surprising for me, regardless of what anybody else thought? Like, what would be that thing for me?
Mm,
And so I had to recognize that it was bigger than some things were bigger than me and some things were me, me having to just decide
yeah.
and to
Uh,
recognize that it was okay.
yeah. And letting it be okay. I love that.
Mhm.
And there's something, it sounds so simple, right?
It
And
does.
people talk about it. There's memes all over the internet about it, but it's
Mhm,
one of the most powerful things we can do, actually, even for our mental
mhm,
health, I think, is exactly that. It's recognizing actually there's stuff that's outside my control. There's
mhm.
stuff that's inside my control. I
Oh,
just gotta
yes.
accept what is, accept the things that I don't, doesn't mean I have to like it, right? But I can
Oh, yes.
accept it, let it be okay, and focus
Mhm,
on, and I love the way you put it, how I choose to respond internally and
mhm,
what's my next step. That is so
mhm,
beautiful. And that next, how, what would be audacious and bold? I mean, what a cool question is that? It's not just what's my next logical step, which is kind of boring.
mhm.
I mean, what's inspiring about that? But what would be the next audacious bold step I could take? Which sounds
Mhm.
like a lot of fun, right? But then part of me, even now, goes, oh my goodness, that sounds like,
Yeah.
right? So let's talk about that leap of faith, because it
Mhm.
sounds like there was a leap of faith in there for you. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, big time. It was a huge leap of faith. Like, I remember calling my husband to say, "Hey, I've lost my job." Like, my job is gone. And he was very supportive and it was very helpful. And he said, "Well, why don't you just do what you've been doing part-time, full-time?" And I was like work for myself full-time? Like, for real, for real?" And he's like, "Yeah, like just do that full-time and let's see what happens." And I remember being a little shocked by his like willingness to let me try that. And I remember being really scared because I'd never like been my own boss full time. And I was like, "Well, if you're willing to try it with me, I'm willing to try it with you, even though I'm like terrified." And so I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm just gonna like work for myself full time. Like that's totally what I'm gonna do." And that is what I did. Like from 2018 until now, that's what I've been doing is being my own boss. And I've had a lot of really crappy bosses. And sometimes I'm not my best boss. Like, let's be real, when you're your own boss, sometimes you don't need a world's best boss mug like Michael Scott on The Office. But, you know, some days you are your own worst boss. But I have been doing that for a number of years. And now that I'm coaching, it's a different kind of being your own boss. But from 2018 until 2021, I was doing something from home for myself. And it was really weird to like not get up and go to the office and to have to make decisions for myself every day and go, "Oh, now I have to run this business and I have to do all these things." And it was scary every day. And every single day it was a new leap of faith to like get up and work and do something. But it was a huge, huge leap of faith to like not start immediately applying for new jobs somewhere else. That was
Yeah.
huge and big. And I'd never done that before. Anytime I'd ever left a job, I had immediately been either, already hired somewhere else or was applying for jobs elsewhere. I had never left a job to just work on my own. So that was a huge, huge leap of faith. And I was so grateful that my husband was willing to take it with me. I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure if I would have done it without his support. Like, I'm 95% sure, but his like 5% really helped. So,
Yeah, it's
but
that
it
last
was a,
little piece, right? Where the
yeah.
seeds of doubt can come in, knowing that you've got someone on your side in your court, right? And
Oh, big time.
I'm guessing after the last few years we've had that there are a few people who are in a similar situation, right? Who've shifted for whatever reason and from being
Mhm,
in that kind of job world and into doing something for themselves, whether it's freelancing or
mhm,
contracting or working from home
mhm,
or whatever, or having your own business. So and you've shared, I love that you're so upfront about this, because I've worked with so many mums doing their own thing from home, and this is something
mhm,
that's so consistent, right? Is that it is terrifying to move away from that security. It is scary,
mhm.
and it doesn't stop being scary. There's a little bit of scary every day.
Every
I would
day.
love, yeah, and if you're watching, if you're in that space, right? You're very, very welcome to drop your thoughts, but it's getting outside that comfort zone a little bit every
Mhm.
day. And I've known so many people who you would look at and would go, "You're doing so well, you're so good at what you do." Who secretly are like, "Yeah, I've flipped through the jobs, pages, yeah," because
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
have those days.
Oh, big
So
time.
yeah, so I would love to hear from you a bit about, what is it that's so scary for us about not being in that structure of having someone else to tell us what to do? What was it for you?
So there was definitely the fear of failure. Like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness, everyone's gonna see me if I fail. Like they're
right,
all just
yeah.
gonna watch me fail. And I was also like, well, they're gonna watch me succeed. And I think there was like that paralyzing fear on either side. Like they're gonna watch me fail and they're gonna watch me succeed. And I wasn't sure which was worse, which sounds a little weird, but at the same time, like if you've never had really wild, bold success, like it is scary to think, could I have that? And so it's easier to think, well, I'll fail because that's what I just did. And so it's like, well, that could happen. And so you're afraid to fail, you're afraid to succeed, and you're definitely afraid to be judged. And that's 100% how I felt. I was afraid of all of those things. And I was like terrified of them. And it's so easy to put on the front that like everything is perfect, everything is beautiful. And I think the biggest thing for me was being willing to say it's not perfect and it's not beautiful, and I'm gonna let you all see that. And I've been very upfront,
Mm,
probably since 2018 when I lost that job about like, nope, it's not all perfect. And so you can see it on my Facebook and even my Instagram. Like my pictures aren't perfect. Like some things are pretty because pretty is wonderful, but like some things are not pretty. Like I'm currently live with no makeup because this is my everyday, like normal life to
mm,
not get all glammed up
mhm,
for the camera. Like
mhm.
this is normal for me. But I know that there was a time where my fear of being seen like this was so great that I would have run to throw makeup on my face
Yeah.
to like not
So
let anyone see.
afraid of being seen for who we really are too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
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 And so there was a lot of fear around that, like being seen for me, being, afraid of failing, afraid of succeeding, afraid of being judged. There was that failure. And I've spoken to other entrepreneurs that have said that they felt the same way. And it's so interesting that we've all felt those similar ways. But definitely for me, it was all of those fears of like, oh my goodness, like, am I gonna do this? Am I actually gonna make this work? And it is
Yeah.
weird to like sit here in 2023 and go, oh my word, I did. Like I am making it work. Wow.
You
It's like,
so
this is
are. You
possible for
so
other
are.
people.
I love it, and I love your honesty. And welcome to those who are joining live. By the way, I just want to say special shout out to the awesome Jeannie Cruz Scott. Hello to you. So great that you can make it here. Um, so good to have you with us. All right. So, and for those who are watching live or on the replay, let us know what's resonating with you about this as well. Because Stephanie, absolutely the same. I've heard the same from so many entrepreneurs, and I know Brene Brown talks about it a lot as well. Is
Mhm,
all of these fears, um, and fears of being seen for who we really are.
mhm,
Um, and like you say, fears of being judged. People talk about that
mhm.
fear of rejection and that fear of failure a lot, but the fear of being judged for being who we are, that can be so
Mhm.
paralyzing. So I so love that you are just so upfront about it. It's gorgeous. It's like
Thank
the
you.
world needs all of us to actually step into being ourselves, right? Now more
Mhm,
than ever. So that's why we're doing this. I want to ask you, right? All of these fears, and
mhm,
again, there's so many cute memes all over the internet about overcoming fear and blah da 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 da
mhm,
da, and it all looks cool. And we get those motivation Monday things from people, all that stuff, right? And there's one thing to know the cute quotes. It's another thing to actually be able to address it in a real way in your life. Yeah.
mhm. Oh,
Especially when
yes.
you're in that space of doing your own thing and actually feeling that fear on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So, what does it actually take to have the courage to take that leap of faith every day to get beyond that stuff?
For me, and the best advice that I give pretty much everybody, even clients I work with right now, is to do it scared. Like,
Yeah.
do it. when you're afraid. There might not be a moment where you're not afraid anymore. You might be less afraid. Uh, like I'm still afraid of doing reels on Instagram. I love doing them. I think they're so much fun, but it terrifies me to make them. I don't know why. They're seconds or 30 seconds. They're so easy. But like at the same time, I will overthink it for 20 minutes. And it doesn't need to be
Yeah.
overthought for 20 minutes, but it still sometimes to the core of my being terrifies me. Even though like I love watching them. I'll watch them for 2 hours, but it scares me. Like it scares me so much. Like,
Yeah.
but if you said, Stephanie, could you open Canva and make graphics? I'd be like, yes, I got this. Like, no problem. Like some things to me don't scare me at all, and other things still terrify me to the core of my being. But like the whole of it is what helps me run my business and serve my clients. And so I can't say like I'm never afraid, because I am. I am still afraid. I'm afraid that like I might like give my client the wrong advice. And the best part of that is I can go back and say, I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't give the best advice. So let's like learn from this, that I'm a human that's not perfect.
Yeah.
Thank God I'm not perfect, not Mary Poppins. We're going to learn from this and we're going to move on. And so do it scared. Like do the thing you want to do scared, and you will get less scared and a little less scared and a little less scared, and it'll get better and easier. But there
Yeah.
might always be a tiny piece of you that's scared. And I think that fear actually kind of like pushes us, because it definitely pushes me to continue to try and
Yeah.
to continue to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's coming up, I think this might actually be something that John Assaraf says, but it's turning your fear into fuel, right?
Mm,
Turning your fear into fuel and doing it scared. And I just love
mhm.
this. I just want to welcome everybody who's joining us live. It's so awesome to see everybody here, and
Hi,
some lovely
hi.
feedback from the awesome Kristen Allwyn saying your reels are good. And I
Thank
want to
you.
just touch on that. So thank you so much, Kristen, for sharing that, because here's the thing. You know, how many people are more scared of public speaking than of dying, right?
Mhm,
And for anyone who's got a business of their own, and it's you got to be online and you've got to be on video, and everyone's going, oh my
mhm,
goodness, this is worse than public speaking, right? Because it kind of, once it's on the internet, it's there for good. And it's out of our control, and that is
mhm.
terrifying, right? But
Yeah.
as Kristen Ulrich says, your reels are good. So if we can actually lean into doing it scared and let the fear be our fuel, bring that
Mhm,
energy to it, and that's just a beautiful thing from your message there, Stephanie, is do it scared and let that be okay. I love this.
yeah.
And we've got some other wonderful comments coming through too. So thank you so much, everybody. Jeannie Cruz Scott has just hit the nail on the head too, that fear and excitement have the same emotions. So,
Mhm,
for anyone who's watching, this is an absolutely brilliant insight. And there's sciencey stuff behind that. I won't go into it. But basically, if you're feeling that fear and you want to do it scared, brilliant reframe is what the wonderful Jeannie Cruz Scott has just shared, which is say to yourself, I'm so excited. I am so excited to be doing this. I am so
mhm.
excited to be doing this. I feel so excited, and just play with that, right? So I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much, everyone who's joining us for these awesome insights. It's so good. All right. So we've talked about doing it scared. Do you have any other tips while we're on that topic, Stephanie, for the person who's feeling stuck, for the person who's going, oh my goodness, I'm stepping into the unknown and I really, really want to, but there's part of me that is really trying to put the handbrake on because it's scary. Do you have any other
Mhm.
tips for people to just get past that?
Find someone to walk along beside you.
Mm,
Like, find someone to be there with you.
yeah.
I, for the longest time, was like, I don't need to pay for help. Like, I don't need to pay someone to help me with this. I don't need like an accountability buddy. Like, I don't need that. I thought that I could lone wolf it, but wolves live in packs. So like I don't really understand like the lone wolf mentality. Like that usually is what happens when like a wolf is kicked out of the pack. So like you don't want to be kicked out of the pack. Like you want to be a part of it. Like you want someone to be with you in community, because so much happens in community. And like when you're in community and you're in proximity with other people who want your success and who want to help you when you're stuck, like it's amazing. I think about it like if your car gets stuck in sand or snow,
Mm,
you can't push it out by yourself. you need someone there to help you. So if you're stuck physically, mentally, emotionally, you need someone to come and help you push that out. Like you do. And so if you are terrified and you're scared of whatever it is you're working on, having someone there to come and help you push can be so, so helpful. And I have had help with me to help me push through some of these fears. And it's been amazing. I've had people come along, walk along beside me with my video content to say, hey, like you're doing good. This is how you can make it better. And they've pushed me, and that's what's helped me make it better. And that's what's helped my reels be better. And so when you get stuck and you say, oh my goodness, what do I do? Come and have a coach. Come and have a coach walk along you on the side. And if you're like, Stephanie, I can't afford that, find a really good, trusted friend to be your mentor. But having someone on the sideline, and definitely someone who knows what they're doing, a professional, can be unbelievably amazing to help you work through that fear. That has been a huge game changer for me. Do it scared with help. Total game changer.
Do it scared with
Yeah,
help.
do it
That's
scared with
absolutely
help.
brilliant. Speaking of community, we've got a wonderful conversation going on in the chat, so that's fantastic. I'll bring up some of those comments in a moment to share them. And great to have so many people joining us live. If you're joining us on the replay, feel free to share your comments as well, because everyone benefits, and we love to hear your feedback and what's benefiting you. And Stephanie, it's just listening to you reminds me, if you think about the evolution of the human species, right?
Mhm.
We evolved because we evolved in tribes, like the wolves, right? In packs. We were
Yes.
a pack. And that's how we managed to survive. And that's how we've managed to build everything that we've built. So ask for help. And I'd love to hear your take on this, but something I've noticed a lot in women particularly, like I
Mhm.
work with a lot of mums who are running their business. They've got clients, they've got kids, they've got spouses, they've got laundry, they've got all of that stuff. And yet there's this resistance to asking for help. So just would love your, because like you've just shared, we can only actually step consistently outside our comfort zone if we have someone in our court holding that
Mhm.
space for us, holding that
Mhm.
belief, even just someone that we can talk to when we're having that scared moment, who can go, yeah, I know you can do it, your reels are good. Right? Or give us that feedback,
Yes.
whatever it might be. I don't think that there is a single person that anyone could point to who is successful in whatever that means
Mhm.
to them, that we could look at and go, yeah, they did it entirely by themselves, without
Right.
family or parents or friend or spouse or
Mhm.
coach or community, whatever it is, to help them
Right.
actually stay consistent, right? So what is it you feel that keeps people from asking for that help?
I think it is a lot of fear of like being judged.
Right.
I have felt that myself. I know I have a lot of friends that have felt that fear of like, if I ask for help, someone is going to think I'm not enough, that I can't do it, that I'm not enough as a mom, I'm not enough as a wife, I'm not enough as a woman. And society already expects so much of us as women to have it all,
Mm,
which I could roll my eyes so far back in my head over that.
mhm.
They expect so much of us that when we do ask for help, it's like, "Ugh, she's failing." And it's like, no, she's not failing. She's going to outsource this task so that she can be better everywhere else. Like, cool, good for her. Like, but there's this huge fear that, and of being judged, that someone is going to think she's less than. And
Yeah.
that breaks my heart. That completely breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I felt that myself. I recently outsourced my laundry for the first time ever because I was sick. And then I was like, why haven't I been doing this all along? Like, I just got 5 hours of my time back. And not only did I spend it resting so I could feel better, but when I'm healthy, I could spend this time with my kid. Why am I doing this? And because I outsourced my laundry, I'm supporting somebody else who like is doing some side hustle for themselves. And maybe that's paying for their vacation. Why did I not start doing this before? Like, it was
Yeah.
mind blowing. But all this time I've had this like, I'm afraid someone's gonna think I'm less than. And then it was like, who cares? Like, I don't care what somebody else thinks if I'm going to outsource my laundry so I can have more time with my child.
Yeah.
Because that is
Yeah.
what mattered more to me, was time with my child rather than how my towels were folded.
Yeah, and really, it does come down to what actually is most important. And I just
Mhm,
want to say thank you, Jeannie Cruz Scott, who just popped out. It's so good. I love this conversation. I love having you along for the ride with us, Jeannie. So good to have you here. And it is. I think this is one of the most important conversations for us, right?
mhm,
Because how many women are now in that position and experiencing that judgment, and so
mhm.
holding on and trying to do everything, trying to do it all
Every
perfectly. And where does that lead us, right? We're seeing so many people struggling with overwhelm and burnout and
mhm,
really not tapping into their superpowers because, like
mhm,
you say, they're spending so much time folding the laundry.
mhm.
And then what is the price? What is the It's not just about business and clients. It's also about your relationships with your family, your kids, all of that kind of stuff. It's like,
And your relationship with yourself.
yeah.
Like, it's so much about the relationship with yourself. Like, when you spend so much time giving and giving and giving to your clients, to your family, to your house, and never giving to yourself, no wonder we're overwhelmed. No wonder we're burnt out.
Mm.
No wonder we're exhausted. When
Hmm.
did we decide that we weren't even on the back burner? We're just not on the stove. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, still
yeah.
stuck in the deep freeze. And here's the thing, I
Mhm,
mean, like you've pointed out, actually having the courage to make that choice to delegate actually
mhm,
serves others. It creates that flow of energy and money and people getting to focus on the things that they want to
mhm.
do. It frees you up. And in a way, it's a form of self-love, but it's also a form of service, right? Almost even a form of
Yes.
leadership, I'd suggest, because just by you doing that, how many other people might go, actually, I never thought of that. I could do that. And what
Mhm,
impact is that going to have, not only on that person's well being, but on their
mhm,
business, on their clients, on their family, on their relationships with their kids, on the way that their kids approach things as they grow up and in their relationships, right? It's all these ripple effects that go out. I love that. I love that. Now I'm just keeping my eye on the clock because we could keep talking about this stuff for like ever, right?
we can.
But look, I want to talk to you. This is something that I think as human beings and as entrepreneurs and in our society, we have forgotten. And I think we're paying a very high price for it. And you're really,
Mhm,
really good on this. So I want to raise the topic of fun. Fun.
mhm,
How can we do this? How can we, as entrepreneurs, we've all heard the stuff that, we got to do the work and we got to hustle and
mhm,
we got to
mhm,
have the goals
mhm.
and we got to stay accountable. Rah, rah, rah. I don't know about you, but for me, I just go, oh man, that's just, I've got a life to live too, right? And that just doesn't sound
Yes.
like a lot of fun. And it's immediately demotivating for me. I just want to, before we move on to the fun topic, I want to say a huge, huge shout out to Jeannie. Look at this for awesomeness. I've had my house cleaned for years and I really want to hire someone to cook healthy meals for us 3 days a week. I am like celebrating. That is
Get it,
so
girl.
awesome. And
Yes.
I mean, it works, right? If
Mhm,
for anyone who's connected with Jeannie, you'll see it works. She is able to lean into her superpowers and make a big difference in the world. So it's yay,
mhm.
yay,
Yes.
awesome. All right, so but let's come back to fun for
Mhm.
you. Or what is the role of fun in all this?
Oh my goodness. I have lived so much of my life not having a lot of fun, like putting
Mhm.
my business first, and it was really draining, and I was sick all the time and miserable.
Mhm.
Like, even my friends were like, "You are so boring now. Like, we don't wanna be around you." And it was like, "Ah." Like, how eye-opening.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, I need more fun." And my coach says, "The more fun you have, the more money you make." And I was like, "Well, that is interesting." And I thought about it and thought about it, and I was like, "Well, like, obviously, if you're an entrepreneur, you wanna make more money." And I was like, "Well, what do I do with more money?" And I was like, "Well, the more money I make, the bigger impact I have." And I was like, "The
Mm.
bigger impact I have, the more lives that can be changed. The more lives that can be changed, the more people can be having more fun. I need to start having more fun so that everybody else can start having more fun." Ooh. And it was
That's
like this
big.
light bulb just went off in my head that, like, I really need to start prioritizing fun. And my therapist was like, "So what do you do for fun?" And I was like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, what are your hobbies?" And I was like, I don't know." And she was like,
Mhm.
"Okay." And this is probably about 3 years ago. And I was like, I have no idea." And she was like, "Well, what did you love to do as a child?" And I was like, "Oh, I really loved to read." And she's like, "When was the last time you read?" And I was like, for like business? And she was like, no, for fun. And I was like, I don't know. She was like, cool.
Mhm.
Your homework is to read for fun. And I was like, okay. And so I started adding reading back into my life for fun. And then on the next session, she was like, what was the one thing you always wanted to do as a kid that you never got to do? And I was like, I always wanted to go to Disney, always. And she was like, well, why haven't you gone to Disney? You're an adult now. Like, you can do those things. You have your own money. And I was like, oh my heavens, you are right. And the first chance I got, once everything started opening and I got to go to California, I bought myself a ticket to Disney solo. And I took myself to Disneyland and I wore a Disney dress, which is a thing. You guys can look it up, Disney dress shop. Google it. You will go down a rabbit hole that will delight you. And I rode every ride I wanted. I ate all the food I wanted, and no one told me where to go or when to be there. And it was amazing. And I have fallen in love with being at Disney either by myself or with friends and wearing a Disney dress and feeling beautiful and making that the fun in my life. I wear Disney dresses when I'm here too, which makes it fun here as well.
I love
But it
that.
was like having somebody ask me, like, what did you love doing as a child? I was like, I loved to read. And then what did you never get to do as a child that you wished you could have? I was
Mhm.
like, oh my goodness. I ask my clients that. What did you love doing as a child that you're not doing now? And what did you wish you could have done as a child that you could actually allow yourself to do now? Like, what was something you couldn't have that maybe you could do now? And now I'm like, oh my word, I have all the fun. And I'm constantly like, honey, let's go to Disney. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, we should go to Disney. And he's like, can you stop talking about Disney? I'm like, no, it's so much fun. Like, I legit, like, and so like your thing might not be Disney, and that's totally okay. But like, if something you always wanted to do as a child was go kayaking, like, you're an adult, go learn how to kayak. It might be the fun that you've been missing in your life all this time. Like, I, I, who knew that those two simple questions would open up my eyes to like all the stuff that I felt like I had been missing without realizing it. And
Yeah.
like, and I do other things for fun too. Like, I paint and I'm a horrible painter, but it is the most fun because no one from art teacher classes is telling me I'm terrible at it. So I'm like, well, this is the best. But like, discovering things that I really loved as a child, it turns out I really love them as an adult. And so I add fun to my life by doing things that I have loved my whole life, but took out because I thought my business was more important.
Yeah. And we've got that
Mhm,
myth, right? That,
mhm,
once we're no longer kids, it's not okay to play and it's
mhm,
irresponsible to have
mhm,
fun and we've got to focus
mhm,
on doing the work, right? And
mhm,
the thing that I find, okay, so for those of you listening, great big permission slip to start to actually allow yourself to have fun. We're taking away the need for you to have to go into therapy and have your therapist tell you and then give you the bill for it, right? Two
yeah,
questions.
you
What would
don't
you
have to
love
pay
to do
for it.
as
It's
a kid?
free.
And yeah, exactly. And what would you would love to do as a kid? Actually reconnect with that. And I
Mhm,
love this again from Jeannie. Thanks so much for these awesome insights, Jeannie. Something I need to do more. Learning and working are so much fun for me. And that's the thing, right? As entrepreneurs, when we love what we do, I get stuck in
mhm,
this too, right? We can just get so
mhm,
absorbed in the flow of what we're doing, and it's so much fun. And that's great. It means we're doing what we love and we're having impact, and that's fantastic. But allowing ourselves to also have that balance with a little bit of space where we're doing other
mhm,
things. So,
mhm.
for those of you who are business minded, Stephanie, can I give a bit of a return on investment spiel on this?
Yes.
um, so just really quickly, there is a whole lot of science now coming out, like
Mhm,
decades after it would have been helpful, but showing that play is really, really good for us in terms
mhm,
of the way that our brains work and our level of success and our abilities to problem solve and to find creative solutions and to be innovative, right?
mhm.
Is also good for our health and that leaning into fun. And fun is not necessarily frivolous, right? In
Right.
fact, it can be a really great way for us to take something that we feel resistance to, even in our business. Like, I mean, how
Mhm,
many people really enjoy doing, I don't know, the cold calls or all of that stuff that we have to do and the admin. I mean, for me, it's paperwork and
mhm,
admin, accountant, bookkeeping, right?
mhm, mhm.
All of
Yeah.
that stuff. And it's like, well, how can I make this fun? we can make games out of it in different
Mhm.
ways, right? So it actually can improve our productivity, make us less distractible, make us more productive, help us be more creative, help us lean into that stuff. And wait, there's more. I actually did a couple of experiments at different times in my business where I actually had to force myself to work less and spend more time doing stuff for myself. And those are the times when I've had the biggest enrollments. In fact, at one of those times when I'd actually just hard, only been doing a few hours a day of business, I had someone take me out to lunch, buy me a really nice lunch, and then give me $15,000 worth of business. And I was like, whoa, what's going on there? And it's because our energy changes, right?
Mhm.
When we're not having fun, we're not fun to be around and we're not inspiring to people. So why would they want to work with us
Yep.
if we're in
Yep.
that hustle thing? And when we've got the balance and we're allowing that fun, that your energy is going to shift, everybody. When you're talking to
Mhm.
people, they're going to be going, there's something about that, Stephanie, right? There's something about that,
Mhm.
Jeannie.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love what Jeannie's got here. She hires that out. You so
Oh,
do,
yeah.
Jeannie. I love it. Just bring this one up. Woohoo! Celebrating you. Awesome. All right. So we want to wrap up soon because for those of you watching, your time is valuable. But there is one thing I would just love to ask you about. May I ask you a personal question, Stephanie?
Of course. Yes.
On the internet, live for
Yes.
posterity,
Yes.
but taking that leap of faith. So you recently completely changed your look. You recently
Mhm.
went and cut all your hair off.
I did.
And I mean,
Mhm.
I recently went from dyeing my hair and all of that kind of stuff to actually going, yeah, no, this is natural. I've got the natural
Mhm.
highlights, and I'm just going to own it.
Yeah.
But I haven't yet gone to the point of getting it cut right off. So, would you be willing to share with us what was behind that choice?
It's a lot of reasons. I love actually talking about this. This is really fun. I'm so glad you asked. So I have always wanted to do this. I have always thought that women who have like buzz to their hair must be the most brave and daring women on
Mm,
the planet. They just have to be, because why else would they cut off all of their hair? Like, I think as women, we are so attached to our hair. It's such a huge part of our look, and we spend so much time on it. We cut it, we color it, we style it, we perm it, we dye it, we do all this stuff to it, and we love it. I mean, I have yet to meet a woman who, doesn't want to do something to her hair to make it look pretty. It's just such a huge part of who we are as women. And I always felt like women who did this must be so brave. And I know a lot of actresses have done it for roles, and I'm like, okay, good for them. They're getting paid like millions of dollars. But like, I figure, that still must be kind of brave, like, to cut all your hair off. And I know it grows back, but I've always wanted to do it. I just felt like it would be such a bold thing to do, and in the back of my mind, I was like, "If I hate it, I'll buy a wig, it'll grow back, it'll be fine." And I went to get it cut, and my stylist, cut it in this really cute pixie, and I was like, "No, really, just shave it, like, let's do it." And, she was like, "Let's do the pixie and ease you in," and I think, like, 2 weeks later, I was like, "Whatever," and I grabbed the clippers, and I just went for it. And I like, literally, like, my husband was like, "I thought you wanted me to help you with it." And I was like, "I couldn't even wait for you." Like, I just had to do it. Like, there was something in me that was like, "We're not waiting. We're doing this. We're jumping in. We're being bold. We're being daring, and we're just gonna go for it." And I did it. And I was like, "Wow, I did the thing." And I didn't die. And I like it. Like, because it took a second. Like, it is very shocking to look in the mirror and be like, all of my hair is basically gone.
yeah.
And every once in a while, I'll like catch myself in the mirror and be like, oh, yeah, like I don't need to like flip my hair off my shoulder anymore. And when it's really cold, I have to remember a hat. That is something I'm getting used to. Uh, but I have loved the simplicity. I love that
Mhm.
I don't have to worry about my hair. I love that it takes me way less time to shower. I love that like doing my hair is like putting a little bit of like hair serum on it just to keep it soft. Like, to keep it so like, it has made my life so much easier, one less thing to stress about, one less thing to worry about. I couldn't believe how much it changed me, like, getting ready. When we pack for trips, I don't have to take all this extra stuff for my hair anymore. I was like, "Whoa." Like, this actually, like, simplified my life, and I'm all
Oh.
about simplifying my life. I'm all about simplifying my clients' lives, like, I love simplifying things. I was like, "This did so much more than just being a bold thing that I did for my hair because I wanted to see if I would like it." It's like, whoa, this like, I, and I've never been more excited for something than I've ever done for my hair. So I would tell people if you've ever wanted to try it because guess what? Your hair will grow back, and if you hate it, you can buy a wig. Like you can just go get a wig. But like I've always wanted to do it, and it turns
Mm.
out the women who do this are pretty bold. I am one of them. I just didn't know it until I was willing to grab the clippers
I love it.
and attack my own hair. But yeah, it has just simplified my life so much now that I'm like, what? I don't know if I want to grow it back out. And if it starts to turn gray, because there are a lot of grays in here, you just can't see because I didn't put the lighting on very good. Like I just call it my natural glitter. So when
Yeah.
people are like, "What's in your hair?" I'm like, "It's glitter. Like it's natural. It just happens." Like I can't I can't get over how much this just made my life so much easier and better. And yeah, I wish I had done this sooner. I wish I had done this sooner.
But you did it.
And
I'm like,
I'm kind of saying
woohoo!
that. Yeah.
And look, there is so much to that. And my brain
Mhm,
kind of goes, oh my goodness, that is a metaphor for so much, right? Because we tend to hold on to identities, right? Who we think we're
mhm,
supposed to be.
mhm,
And
mhm,
we actually do get to choose who we are. And here's the thing, it's not set in concrete. We can actually,
mhm,
we evolve as humans, right? And we can choose. We can go, yeah, today I choose to be audacious and bold. This year is
mhm,
my audacious and bold year. And then we could choose something else. Right? We
mhm,
actually have that capacity, but we just get so tied into holding on to all the stuff. Here's just such a great metaphor for that. And as I'm
mhm,
listening to you, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how many things are we holding on to? I could like look at my email inbox and all of those like little subscription emails that I received that I go, oh, do I really want to unsubscribe? You know, we've got all these little things, all these
mhm,
things in the front, all these little things on shelves, all the stuff, right? And I know
mhm,
that this is a passion of yours because we hold on to this stuff because it's like anchoring an identity. And it says, is this really
mhm,
serving me in terms
mhm,
of where I want to go and who I want to be and how I want to impact the world going forward? Because a lot of it, and I've noticed there seems to be a lot of energy this year right now, and I suppose because we're going through so much change, right?
mhm.
Where it actually feels like a time for letting go of all of the stuff that's weighing us down and keeping us stuck in old patterns so that we can actually be more agile and more adaptable and be able to actually thrive in what is quite an uncertain world, right? So that
Yeah.
my brain does that kind of oh big picture metaphor. But do you have any thoughts on? Do you want to add anything to any of that, and then we'll like do a little bit of a wrap up?
No, I think you're totally right. Like, I think I held on to my hair for so long because I felt like it was part of me,
Hmm.
and, like, it is part of a lot of people's identity, and so I don't wanna tell people, like, everyone should shave their head. But, like, for me, I think letting go of it was really the recognition of, like, I am who I am regardless of my hair, and I am who I am regardless of the things that I own. I am who I am regardless of the business that I run. Like, I can be who I am no matter what. And that can actually be true of anybody. Like you can be who
Mhm.
you are no matter where you live, no matter what you own, no matter what you're doing. Like you who you are is ingrained in your being. And that being doesn't get to change or doesn't have to change just because you lost a job or you moved to another state or you decided that you wanted to try a new like career path. You get to be who you are and use your voice in your audacious way
Yeah.
because of who you are. And I think that's such a beautiful, wonderful thing. And sometimes it takes letting go of the superfluous to recognize that it's time to start speaking up. And I think for me, letting go of my hair was part of the like, oh, hey, let's start continuing to be like continue to be bold, Stephanie. Continue to do the thing you want to be doing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
I love
definitely like with all the like craziness in the world right now, like that desire to thrive and to flourish is huge for so many women and figuring out what it is for you that can be like the small catalyst to help you because the catalyst can be big or small. For me, it was shaving my head. For you, it could be something totally different. But figuring out what like a small catalyst is for you right now to help your 2023 be really audacious and fun, like figure out what that catalyst is and take your leap
Yeah.
and see
And
what
it
it
could
looks
just
like
be
to
one
thrive.
one s one first step and then a series of steps, right? It doesn't have to be
Oh yeah.
anything that feels life threatening. Just
Mhm,
what's one thing that helps you move in that direction? And I
mhm,
just love to add to that, if I may, because I get so passionate about this. Every single person watching this, and that includes you, the Stephanie Young, we're all unique, right? And from my perspective, everybody here is completely miraculous.
mhm,
Completely and utterly miraculous. There will never, ever be anyone else who has your strengths, your unique experience, your unique skills, your unique perspective. There never
mhm,
has been, there never will be in the entire universe and all of existence. And it's
mhm,
up to you what you do with that. But oh my goodness, if there was ever a time that the world needed, us as humans to actually give ourselves the permission to be who we are and share our gifts, right? Jeannie,
mhm.
enjoy your movie. Thank you so much for joining us with this convo. Jeannie Chris Scott's just, it's movie time. It is. Go out, have some fun, girl. I love that. Thanks so much for sharing with us and joining us today. And look, we'd love to hear your nuggets. We would love to hear what's inspired you about this conversation. I'm just going to kind of wrap things up by recapping my biggest takeaways, because we've covered so much juicy stuff here. And there's been a lot, right? We started by talking about, stuff. You know what I mean, right?
Mhm,
Stuff happens in life. But stuff happens in life, and it happens to all of us, and it can be so devastating and demotivating. We talked about Stephanie's experience of losing her job. I've had my own version of that. It wasn't losing a job; it was that was a whole other thing. There's another video. But most of us have had experiences in life where it's like, oh my goodness, why me? Stuff happens. And
mhm,
we've talked about, okay, there's a whole lot of stuff in that that's actually completely outside our control. So why would we beat ourselves up about it? It takes courage to actually be
mhm,
able to step back and go, actually, these aspects outside my control, but I do get to control, like you put it so beautifully, Stephanie, how I respond in terms of how I choose to respond internally to it, right? And then how do I respond in terms of what's my next step? And instead of thinking what's my next logical step, what do I want to do? What feels audacious and bold to do as my next
mhm,
step? So actually leaning into that. I think that is brilliant. And that whole concept of this, when stuff happens, accepting it and allowing it, because
mhm,
if we're resisting it, we just get more stressed and more strung out, and we're not actually able to lean into that audaciousness, right? Even
mhm,
if we don't like it, accepting it and letting it be what it be, right, so that we can move
mhm,
on, is that's so powerful. um totally huge. And something else that we talked about, and I just loved your authenticity about this, is that to actually lean into, that audacious, bold step, and actually bringing our gifts to the world, or doing what it is that we want. And it doesn't even need to be like this big impact thing. It can
mhm,
just be doing whatever it is that we want. That can be terrifying. It can mean stepping out of old patterns and old habits. And I loved how you pointed out that actually, when we're in business for ourselves, and especially if we're doing the mum, doing the business, doing the other stuff,
mhm.
we're having to take that leap of faith every day in small ways.
Yes.
And the scary stuff comes up every day in small ways. And so you talked about, just do it scared. And
Mhm,
the more we actually practice doing it scared, the more we realize, yeah, well, I'm still alive. It's
mhm,
just my mind doing that thing again. And it gets less and less scary. And that's actually this weird thing that we call growth, right? It's actually doing it scared. And maybe finding, we had this wonderful conversation in the chat as well about finding the excitement,
mhm,
letting the butterflies of fear turn into butterflies of excitement, which is super powerful. Um, and that one's huge. I'm just looking at my notes here. Um, and oh my goodness, a big one that I absolutely love is bringing the fun into it. How many of
mhm,
us do not give ourselves permission to have fun? And you had two beautiful questions there that you shared, which is, what did you love to do as a child? And what was it that you would have loved to do as a child that you didn't get to do?
mhm,
And reflect on those, and whatever it is, actually don't just think about it, actually do it. Put it into
Mhm.
your plan, book it, do it, whether it's reading a book, whether it's going to Disneyland, whether it's, I mean, for me, it's just getting outside, paddling in the sea, that kind of stuff, whatever it is, for you, because that stuff is super, super powerful.
Mhm.
And we've just had this very powerful conversation too about thinking about actually who you are and who you choose to be in the world, and what is, even if it's a really small thing that can be your kind of little activator to go, yeah, actually, I am becoming who I choose to be. For you, it
Mhm.
was shaving your hair off. There've been a whole bunch of things for me. I won't give you the long list, but stopping dyeing my hair was actually a big one, and that was a lot scarier than I thought it would be. Weirdly enough,
Mhm.
um, and like you said, look at this, I'm still alive. Go figure.
Yeah.
Right? So those are my key takeaways, and there were a whole lot of other gems as well. But I really love what you talk about by having fun. What if I'm having fun, I can
Mhm.
be more successful in my business, then I can make more money in my business, and then I can have more impact, and then more people are served. I can serve more people in my business, and that means that they get to do more good stuff. And so it actually becomes a really important thing, right?
Mhm.
So that was something else for me. What would you like to add? Is there anything that I've missed in terms of key points?
Ooh, goodness. I'm not sure. I don't know what other key. I feel like we've given them a ring of keys tonight.
Jingle,
Um,
jingle. Yeah.
yeah, I don't. I feel like we've had such a great conversation. Like I wouldn't know how to add
Mm,
more to it without another question, except to say like, if you are really struggling to figure out like what it is that you would want to do, or you struggle to answer the questions like, what did I love as a kid? What would I want to do? You can ask yourself,
mm,
what would I really love right now?
yeah.
Like, what would I love right now in this moment? And sometimes that can really help. Like, and if the thing that you would love right now in this moment is to not do laundry, outsource your laundry. If the thing that you would love is to not make dinner right now, go run through the drive-through. Like, what is the thing that you would really, really love right now? And help answer that question. And it could be something really superficial or something really deep. That's totally fine. But like answering that question for you right now can be really transformative. And it can be really, really big. Again, like you might even be like, oh my gosh, what I would love right now is to not be working in my job. Sometimes my answer is really, really big. And sometimes my answer is like, I would really love a nap. And sometimes I close my laptop and I take a nap. Like, but asking yourself, what would I really love?
Yeah.
Like that can be so amazing.
I think that's the most powerful question. And even if it feels really superficial in that moment,
Mhm,
actually tuning in, what would I really love, and doing it. It's like
mhm,
the little breadcrumbs that lead us to something bigger, because by taking a nap and then you get that idea, and then that idea feels
mhm,
good, or you make that phone, or you just show up differently as a result. And then
mhm,
there's the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, right, the world is a different
mhm.
place in some way.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's a really powerful thing. And in a way, it's like the modern world leadership, right? Is people
Yes.
who have the courage to tune into what feels
Mhm.
like what I would really love right now. Because,
Yeah.
if there's so many people who go, oh my goodness, what's my purpose? I need to live on purpose.
Mhm.
Isn't actually following that intuitive, what I would love to do, isn't that living on
Yes.
purpose when you come right down to it? So I
It
love
is,
that
and I
too.
used
Yeah. Hmm.
I was gonna say, I used to ask myself, like, "What is my goal?" And it felt so inauthentic to me, and Felicia CRC is the one that taught me to ask myself, "What would I love?" And
Mm,
I'm so
mm,
grateful for her for that, to, like, really
mm.
shift it from instead of saying, like, "What is my goal?" Because like, my goal is never to do laundry, like, nobody wants to do laundry, but, like, to shift it from, like, "What is my goal?" to "What would I love?" Like, I'm so grateful for her teaching me that instead of focusing on goals, like, but to shift it, like, what is it that you would intuitively love? And to really allow your heart to, like, guide yourself to that. That's
Yeah.
really it really, really helped a lot, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Thank you for bringing that one out, because to be blunt, goals are not the tool, despite what a lot. That's why there's so many people coaching people to help achieve their goals, because actually most people fail because the
Mhm.
way to set goals is wrong,
Right.
right? Whereas if you can actually follow what you love, and it's not saying throw the plan out
Mhm.
and just, it's follow what you love. Follow
Mhm.
what you love.
Yes.
Goals are about focusing the mind, but I
Mhm.
don't know. I find following what I love a lot more motivating, right? And it
Yes.
means that we're showing up with a different energy. So I love that. Thank you. There was one other thing in what we talked about as well, which I would just like to bring out again for everybody, and that is big, huge permission slip to ask for help because none of
Yes.
us can actually do it alone. We're all given unique strengths so that we don't focus on doing everything, so that you can delegate, so that you can outsource. And we all have those days when actually we just don't feel that we have the resourcefulness to step to do it scared, but we still have things to do. Or whether
Mhm,
it's as a parent, whether it's in your business, maybe it's both, maybe it's something else. So a huge big permission slip to ask for help. And
mhm.
there's coaches like myself and Stephanie. You can connect with more Stephanie goodness and inspiration on Instagram. So I've just popped her handle up there. And I encourage you to do that. She's posted some fabulous stuff. Yes, I'm a follower, Stephanie.
Thank you.
um, I love what you share. And as well as that, finding a community that inspires and uplifts you, whether it's online, whether it's in your home, it's
Mhm.
so important. And again, just by doing that, how many other people are you helping to uplift as well as it helps you to lean into being yourself and to have the
Mhm.
courage to live your life, because we've just got one as far as we know, right? So
Yes.
awesome. We're just past the hour, so if we wrap up there, but I just want to check in, Stephanie, any last thoughts you'd like to share with our listeners?
Ask yourself, what would you love? Give yourself permission, just like Anna said. Here's the permission. She gave it, I gave it, now you have 2 permissions. Like, yeah, allow yourself to take your bold, surprising risk.
Mm,
Do it scared. Do it scared with help, and
mm.
know that it's gonna be okay. Like, it will work out and it'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be okay. That's a beautiful note to finish on. So thank you so much, everyone who's joined us live, everyone watching on the replay. We
Thank you,
absolutely
Anna.
love it. Thank you too. I was coming to you. It's always so much fun to talk to Stephanie, and it's always such a great conversation. So for those of you who want to connect with Stephanie, we've got her Instagram handle up there, and I you know, again, more of that juicy goodness. Whenever you need that little permission slip to lean in and do it scared, you can tap into some Stephanie Young goodness there. And as well, if you like these kinds of conversations, just drop me a message. I'll make sure that you are among the first to know each time we have one of these live streams, so that you can tap into all of that goodness as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Absolutely loved having you on. And we will wrap it up there. Everyone have a fabulous day.